I could just sit, I could just...
In Leviticus 19:33 through 34, it tells us that we were once sojourners in the land of Egypt, the Israelites were, and that because of that fact, God tells us to look out for the sojourners in our own land as if they were natives, to love them as if they had always been a part of us. We find ourselves at Highland and at Forest Hills having neighbors who are sojourners in our land, who have been kicked out of their own countries because of war or political reasons, that they just were no longer safe where they were living, and now have found themselves right smack dab in the heart of Raleigh next to our churches. And once again are finding themselves being displaced because at the end of this calendar year, in just a few months away, they're all going to be evicted from the Palms, where almost 80% of the people who live there are refugees from across the world. We have decided to have a partnership between our two churches because of the ministries that both churches have had with the Palms. Highland has been hosting English as second language classes with Wake Tech Community College for years and years, and it's just such an amazing sight to see every morning. Just around 9 o'clock, all of these people from around the world, from Africa and Burma and all sorts of different parts of the Middle East, coming up the hill to take classes at Highland. And because of their constant presence among us, Highland has tried to build an agricultural partnership with them through our community garden to build relationships between people in our community, whether they belong to Highland as members or not. And so we have seen wealthy Americans who have always lived in this part of the world working side by side with the poorest of the poor who don't even share the same language. And so this is a ministry that has been vital to our congregation for a long time. And I know it's also been vital at Forest Hills.
She said the date had come. The time had come for her to move. The apartment complex had finally said, you got to move out. This lady is from Burma. She's part of the Karen ethnic group. She's lived here for several years, and this was her first home in America. And the apartment complex said, you got to move now. You got to get your things together, find a new place to live. And she didn't know how. She came and she said that in Sunday school class on a Sunday morning and was reaching out for help. She's our neighbor. Everyone's our neighbor there. What can we do? We can come to the housing fair on September the 14th, Sunday afternoon from 4:30 to 6:30, and be a presence. Notice, make new friends, get to know the folks in the Palms and find out what their needs are specifically. We could also be available for a telephone call or be available to share some information. We could help somebody move. We could walk beside somebody going through the process of getting a new apartment, re-enrolling in schools, changing water, changing electricity, moving items from one place to the next, or even learning how to transport to work from a new living location. Maybe even finding a new ESL class near a new home in Raleigh. The biggest part is to be a presence. To be a presence to notice our neighbors, to be a neighbor. What can we do? We can be a neighbor to people from around the world just down the street.
Will you lead me, Lord? Will you